Again, today's session is all about how to kickstart motivation in the new year through coaching and recognition, two amazing tools for motivating our teams. If you're like me, you're shaking off the dust after a little bit of a holiday break and you are energetic and excited to tackle the new year. We're so excited to share amazing ideas, best practices, and fresh people program ideas with you today to make sure that everybody's ready to hit the ground running, feeling intrinsically inspired to crush their goals this year, and all the great ways we can think about motivating and inspiring our top people. So without further ado, we'll jump in. I'm going to pass it over to Josh and Anju to help ground us today around why does motivation matter, especially right now. Take it away, Josh.
Yeah, great. So if I start with like the rational science side of my brain, right, there's a lot of business relevant outcomes associated with motivation. Higher retention, productivity, employees who are willing to go the extra mile. And for us, right, at Culture Amp, motivation is one of the core components of how we measure engagement. So it's really critical as far as having an engaged workforce. But if you ask me at an emotional level too, like why does motivation matter? It's really about creating the best experience for our employees at the end of the day, for people at work. I viscerally want to work at a company where people are motivated, where they're excited, where they feel that fulfillment. And so that in itself is also a really important part of why it matters, right? It's the type of company I want to work at. I'm guessing a lot of your employees feel the same. And as for why it matters right now, I don't think, anybody needs to reiterate like what a challenging year, week, take your pick, and everything in between it's been. And so, one of the key things we're seeing is that it can be challenging to stay motivated with all of these external forces. And so being cognizant as leaders and as people, how we can intentionally shape motivation in our companies and do what we can to pull those threads out for people is really critical towards supporting our organizations during challenging times.
Yeah, and so that's a great perspective. And I'm just going to add to this, and that motivation is what keeps the wheels turning. When we're properly motivated, there's almost nothing that we can't do. Motivated employees enthusiastically bring their best self to work every day and help companies meet its sales, performance goals, or whatever they might be. Now, proper motivation is hugely important for employee retention as well. And there are companies that sadly fail to understand and recognize that. And research shows that many companies have disengaged employee with low motivation. And you'll be surprised to know that only 36% of employees are engaged at work, according to a Gallup study. Now, the percentage of workers who are actively disengaged, those who have miserable work experiences and spread their unhappiness to their colleagues, is about 13%. And then there is a remaining 51% of workers who are not engaged. These are psychologically unattached to their work, company, and they actually just put work, but not necessarily energy and passion into their work. Not engaged employees will usually show up to work and contribute the minimum required. They also are on a lookout for better employment opportunities and will quickly leave the company for a slightly better offer. And that is why motivating your employees need to be a regular routine and not once in a quarter activity. And there's not much that we can emphasize on why that's required today.
I love that perspective. There is a lot going on in the world. And Anju, I really liked your comment about how it can't just be a one time. We're going to, take away a lot of energy from the session today. But it needs to be an ongoing practice and something that you build and develop over time, especially as a people leader or a manager.
Thanks for stopping by and watching this snippet of our webinar on Kickstarting Motivation in 2021. Jump over to our website to see the full recap and hear from our panelists on all of these topics.